I'm Jonno, and I was one of the key developers on the Elder Scrolls project.
I'm Charlie, and I was also one of the developers on the Elder Scrolls Call to Arms.
So, the main bit of dev work that we were doing initially was playing through the different variations of the rules. There were, in the initial iteration that we first came onto the project with, it was there were different stages of the phase. So there was a movement phase and an attack phase. There were different things like charge and different abilities which sort of worked around that. And then through working through that and with Mark, the designer, we're able to turn it into the iteration of the game you see before you today.
And so now we also worked alongside of we worked on all the stories and all the scenarios and all the sort of adventures that you go on, and helped sort of sculpt some of the narrative that you should find going on. We came up with a few of the event cards, a few of the quest cards, some of the funny names that you get should be in there from us. So yeah, we sort of we got given this idea from the game design, and we sort of streamlined it a little bit and sort of tweaked it and spend our time trying to make it as good as it can be.
Exactly. In the first iteration of the game, archers were the best unit by far because they got to attack in their movement phase and then in the melee phase as well. And because they had daggers and everything was based on your dexterity, so agility was your initiative. And because archers are high agility and daggers had the lowest initiative, so archers always went first and always killed everything. And
they were really good back in the day. Hopefully a little bit less overpowered now. But yeah, so everything had its own initiative. There was a whole sort of other score keeping track we had to do, and then when it sort of got much too complicated, when there were mass combats and everyone was clustered up, so you had to work out who was going first and yada yada yada. So now it should be a little more simplified, but sort of more spontaneous, the combat. Is that what I'm trying to say?
It makes more sense now.
I mean, it's much more easy to work out. It should feel like it flows a lot better, you know, with trading blows and fighting against each other.
There used to be a thing called charge in the game, and essentially the game was the premise was if you run at someone, you do more damage when you do your attack, and the whole game became around. So, say if you had an objective point, you would get close enough to the objective point where you were just beside it, but out of the enemy's charge range. So if they came anywhere near you could charge at them and you would just kill them. And so the game just became around kind of inching further and further towards you, and basically whoever came towards you first lost because you would just charge at them and kill them.
I think the whole being able to customize your characters with all the equipment, you know, you get your Dragonborn, and yes, they are skilled in certain things, but if you want your Dragonborn to be a sneaky lockpick dagger guy, go for it. Like, you have the full power and capacity to do that. If you want it to be a spell-slinging mage, they can do that. Sort of the idea of you being able to take these templates we've given you and sort of do your own thing with them, like, that's the most Skyrim thing for me. My Skyrim characters were never the ones you see on the posters, you know, they were the Argonians who fought with knives and forks, you know, that was my character, and that was who I sort of fell in love with, and that's what Skyrim is to me. So being able to have that customization, like even at its level currently, is great. I think it is very Skyrim.
Yeah, I'd say for me it's more about the exploration in the delves. Like that element is for me the most Skyrim thing, because it's going into a dungeon, it's going in there alone and basically fighting against the elements, and then realizing, oh my god, I'm not powerful enough to be in here, running away, or being like, oh, you know, I'll try it out, and then you have these great moments where you sneak up behind someone and pile drive them into the floor. I mean, you can nearly you nearly get that in the game.
I mean, that's not a mechanic in our game.
It's not a mechanic in our game.
We have left out the wrestling moves for now. For now.
But I mean, you can just
please don't demonstrate. Thank you.
But yeah, that's my favorite bit. See, I used to be a big sort of. Well, I first played Skyrim, I was stealth archer. And then I got really bored of sneaking around because it took too long. So my second character was just a guy with a two-handed axe who just went in and just clobbered everything. But now my new favourite thing is the sneaky mage. So my favourite thing at the moment in Delves is to pick a mage. Imperial Mage is pretty good. Just sneaks around. Doesn't have the sneak skill per se, but it doesn't stop you from hiding and then throwing a fireball somewhere and just watching just pandemonium. That's my favourite way to play the moment.
So you just take one model and you just make them very strong. And
you just overpower them to hell.
Overpower this one model.
Yep, give them all the magic potions, health potions, just watch the world light up before you.
yeah. I'm big into the battle mode. I really like the adventurer faction. I like getting a weird sort of selection of random wacky characters and building my force, and I name each and every one of them, and they are all different and they're all strange, and the kind of party you find in an RPG session or something, like they shouldn't go together, but they do, and I love them all dearly. And sort of trying to use them to go up against sort of factions which are centered around serious armies, things like the Stormcloaks and the Imperials, trying to prove that my army is better than them when, by all intents and purposes, it's not. But I know they're just the character that the adventurers have. I really, that it draws me in. Sort of the fact that a lot of them are unnamed, so I can assign my own names to them, and so I can sort of make them my own little faction. I like that a lot. That's how I like to play the game. Yeah,
nameless characters are for me, are some of the more flavourful characters because you get to put your own personality on them. You have to be Hadvar or Isolde or whoever else. You can be, this is my guy because I made him like this.
Oh, you can't use it if we say a proper spoiler though, can you?
I'm just going to have to bleep you out and maybe make people lip read.
What spoiler do you want to go for?
I'm going to go for... does it have to be one word? Oh, I'm going to go for...
Okay, so the thing that I am excited for, most of all, which is coming, is Dwemer. The automatrons, the homunculi, the traps, Please bleep all that
out. For me, it's going to be... guilds.
God, I love it when we introduce dragon riding. That's the best bit.
When you actually turn into the dragon, or you can turn into a horse like the bug in the game.
I never got that bug.